Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on something every single one of us relies on every second of the day, yet we rarely think about how to actually maintain it. Your brain. I mean, think of the human brain as the ultimate high-performance machine. Whether you're a student pulling your hair out over massive final exams, an athlete who needs split-second reflexes, or an adult just actively trying to guard against cognitive decline, your brain needs highly specific fuel to operate at its absolute peak. It doesn't just run on empty calories, right? It runs on incredibly complex chemical compounds. Okay, let's dive right into this. What should we actually put on our plates to build a healthier, faster, and just vastly more resilient brain? Well, today we're going to completely bypass the trendy dietary fads and all those marketing gimmicks. Instead, we're looking straight at the hard biological science. We're going to explore exactly how specific foods literally alter your brain's structure and function down on a cellular level. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, fueling your mind. Second, the chemistry of cognition. Third, foods for mood and focus. And finally, the Mediterranean master plan. Let's get into it. Section 1, fueling your mind. Section 2, the chemistry of cognition. First up in our chemistry lesson is nitric oxide. Think of this little guy as your brain's biological open sesame molecule. See, the brain is an incredibly greedy organ. It constantly demands oxygen and nutrients, which means blood flow is absolutely everything. Nitric oxide literally dilates your blood vessels to make that delivery happen. Dr. Michael Greger's research shows that eating nitrate-rich vegetables seriously boosts the production of nitric oxide, which physically opens up pathways to rush blood right into critical brain areas. And we're talking specifically about the areas responsible for executive functioning, your ability to plan, focus, and juggle a bunch of different tasks all at once. Next up, we have omega-3 fatty acids. Now, these are healthy, unsaturated fats, and they are literal physical building blocks for your neural structure. They modulate dopamine concentrations, and they drastically reduce brain inflammation. The big takeaway here is that they are highly protective. In fact, research out of Harvard actually shows that these fatty acids are linked to lower blood levels of beta amyloid. And if you're not familiar, that's the dangerous protein that forms those damaging clumps in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Rounding out our chemistry deep dive is dopamine. You probably know it as the feel-good neurotransmitter, right? But honestly, it is so much more than that. It is the ultimate motivation molecule. It's heavily responsible for your mood, your working memory, and your actual ability to learn. Get this, just anticipating a reward releases dopamine, making you driven and focused. But here's the catch. Without the right raw nutritional materials, your brain simply cannot synthesize enough of it. Now, what's genuinely fascinating is how we can use these exact nutrients to physically alter the brain's wiring, a concept known as neuroplasticity. We used to think only young brains can adapt and rewire, but older brains absolutely can too. Dr. Greger points to this amazing study comparing two groups. One group did a 6-week exercise program. When researchers measured their brain connectivity, no big change. But the second group did the exact same exercise program and drank nitrate-rich beetroot juice. The difference was massive. The exercise plus beetroot juice group developed brain networks that closely resembled those of much, much younger adults. The nutrients literally enhanced their brain's neuroplasticity. 13 milliseconds, it might sound totally insignificant, but in the realm of neurology, it is huge. In a study involving older diabetics, researchers gave them either real nitrate-rich beet juice or a placebo juice with all the nitrates stripped out. The group drinking the real beet juice improved their reaction times by exactly 13 milliseconds. Now, why does that even matter? Well, because a fraction of a second is literally the difference between an older adult catching their balance or suffering a devastating fall. Or, for athletes, it's the difference between making a rapid, game-winning decision or just completely missing the opportunity. Section 3, foods for mood and focus. Let's see how this builds and translate the science into the kitchen. Let's actually break down an ultimate brain food menu here. First up, walnuts. They are absolutely packed with omega-3s and vitamin B6, which directly aid in dopamine production and keeping you focused. Next on the menu, beets, full of those powerful nitrates we just talked about. Studies actually show that a single dose of nitrate-rich beet juice leads to significantly more correct answers on sustained subtraction tasks, which basically means prolonged, incredibly difficult mental effort. And finally, dark chocolate, which is rich in flavonoids. Research shows that eating dark chocolate results in acute improvements in mood, specifically during those sustained, really demanding mental tasks. I absolutely love this real-world application from a YouTube channel called Star Bazaar. So A mother was dealing with her 10-year-old son who just could not focus in class. She got his blood tested and found his omega-3 ratio was a staggering 13 to 1 to 1. For context, that should be closer to 3 to 1. So what did she do? Well, she didn't just turn to medications right out of the gate. She turned to the kitchen. She started sneaking flax seeds, pistachios, and walnuts into a traditional dessert, a ladu. And the result? She totally fixed his nutritional deficit and his focus in class improved. It's just a brilliant example of using targeted nutrition to solve real-world cognitive problems. And this brilliantly illustrates that targeted food doesn't just fix immediate focus. It offers serious, long-term protective power. A study from researchers over at Harvard's Brigham and Women's Hospital looked at women who consume 2 or more servings of strawberries and blueberries every single week. Now, these berries are packed with natural plant pigments called flavonoids, and the study found that this incredibly simple dietary habit delayed cognitive memory decline by up to 2.5 years. And for the younger viewers out there, or really anyone under intense pressure, consider this combo. Amla, also known as Indian gooseberry, mixed with honey. As highlighted in a popular quick tip video by Leafy Food, modern textbooks and exam stress can absolutely fry a student's brain. But simple combinations like amla and honey provide a massive payload of vital antioxidants. This helps combat the intense oxidative stress that physically happens in the brain during heavy, prolonged periods of studying. Section 4. The Mediterranean Master Plan. So individual superfoods are definitely fascinating, but cognitive longevity is really about a synergistic macro pattern of eating over your entire lifetime. These are the concrete pillars of the traditional Mediterranean diet. Think of it as your brain-building grocery list. It relies heavily on whole, unprocessed plants, so legumes, nuts, seeds, and greens. It swaps out saturated fats for olive or rapeseed oil. It prioritizes oily fish, which are practically swimming in those crucial omega-3s, getting those in 2 to 3 times a week. And, just as importantly, it strictly limits red meat and sugary treats. Listen, this isn't some restrictive fad diet. It's literally a structural blueprint for your brain. So the crucial question is, does this broader lifestyle actually work in a measurable way? The answer is a resounding yes. Professor Anne-Marie Minaheim and her team at Alzheimer's Research UK conducted the MEDEC study. They took a group of adults aged 55 to 74 and had them eat a Mediterranean-style diet for just 6 months. The results were crystal clear. This dietary pattern yielded tangible, highly measurable improvements, not just in overall health, but specifically in memory and cognitive thinking tests. Just 6 months was all it took to literally see the brain perform better. We've journeyed from the microscopic expansion of your blood vessels via nitric oxide to the dopamine spikes from dark chocolate, all the way out to the cognitive protection of a Mediterranean lifestyle. The biggest takeaway here is that it is never too late to change the physical structure and capability of your brain simply through what you put on your plate. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question. What will your next meal do to your neuroplasticity? Will it build your brain up, or is it going to slow it down? The choice is quite literally on your plate. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.